Alrighty, so if you are from YouTube, welcome back. Today we will be reacting to Defense Contractors Build Everything. I don't know what this is about. I mean, I can guess what it is about, but surely they can't build everything.
North America, you have probably seen this thing.
Oh yeah, that thing. I heard they replaced it with a new truck though, that looks like an ugly duckling or something, no?
If you live in North America, you have probably seen this thing delivering out mail in front of your yard. What you might not have known is that the same people who built this cute little truck also built the F-14 Tomcat.
Ooh.
You might also not know that the same people who built this overpriced hunk of a calculator that you had to buy for school also built the computer chips and F-22 radars and even nuclear missiles. You would be shocked probably how much stuff that you use every day that is either an inspiration of, derivative of, or actually just is made by the military-industrial complex and vice versa. Today I
Was that like a 50 caliber handle? This? Like I've seen some 50 calibers have those sort of handles at the end of their guns that they use to trigger and I don't know. Or maybe I just saw too many World War I movies because that's how they did it. I don't know.
Of, or actually just is, made by the military-industrial complex and vice versa. Today I want to be covering some obvious and maybe not so obvious examples and cover.
Maybe it's not. Yeah, that I was rethinking it and I was like, maybe I'm overanalyzing.
Why it is that there is so much overlap, and then we'll see what the future holds in terms of stuff we use every day in the civilian world that is helping fund the next generation of man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. Government corruption, that like and subscribe button, and let's get started. I want to talk to you about Raid Shadow Legends.
No! Go away, Raid Shadow Legends.
If you are seen, and is a living event. Alshire her and her 5th days, and you'll get even more of the adventures if you only last in this game. And the game's funeral much more enjoyable.
Yeah, the Browning, the 50 caliber,
which you see here, and the promo code Monkey King to take advantage of all there is to do in this offer. And if you join my clan, Bean Tavy, I might tell you where the name comes from. Thank you to Raid for supporting the channel. Now back to the video. Now I know that finding out that your TI-84 that you used to play Snake on helped put money towards technology that could potentially end the world might be hard to swallow. Much like the TI-84 itself is hard to swallow. But I'm here to tell you that
I don't know what that calculator is.
Then you realize because Texas Instruments also helped build.
Of course, it's fucking Texas.
Arm for blowing up anti-aircraft systems. The
wait, what?
Also,
wait, hang on. I want to see that rocket again.
World might be hard to swallow, much like the TI-84 itself is hard to swallow. But I'm here to tell you that it's actually much worse than you realize because Texas Instruments also helped build the AGM-88 HARM for blowing up anti-aircraft.
Didn't that just go right through it unless punching a hole is really effective, I guess? I don't know. Shouldn't it explode on impact over here?
Systems, the Paveway laser-guided bomb, and the AGM-154 joint standoff weapon glide munition. And of
That's
course,
a long
my
name.
favorite, the TOW anti-tank guided missile.
Ah.
Now I should clarify, Texas Instruments is not the one screwing on the explosive warhead at the end of said missile and then loading it onto a plane. At their core, they are a computing hardware company, and the same things that help a missile know where it is by knowing where it isn't are also used in digital watches, cars, and of course that giant brick of a calculator that for some reason still costs $129.
What?
$25.
What the fuck? Is it because it's rare?
Military government contracts are.
Ooh, is that a drone? That looks like a drone or something.
Still costs $129 in 2025. Military government contracts are, shocker, incredibly lucrative if you can land them. And when you're a technology company like Texas Instruments and you have to take financial risks to research and develop computer technology, you're going to try to diversify who's going to buy it to help cover costs.
Wonder what that is.
Everyone has morals until your check has 8 zeros on it. But Texas Instruments
it's just expensive,
sense, right? You have a computer chip that can do math, so it makes sense to put it in as many things as possible. But what's the deal with a company that builds fighter jets, building trucks for that guy who delivers your mail, and also happens to oddly look a lot like your older brother as an adult?
That looks like AI, at least the face. Maybe it's a mix.
Well, back in 1985, the U.S. Postal Service needed to replace its aging fleet of Jeep-based...
Oh god, what is that? That looks like a leftover World War II Jeep got merged into a mailing truck.
delivery vehicles. The general requirements were simple. Build a mail truck that was durable enough to be driven long miles every day while carrying
Oh, male. Okay. I was like, what? Are we talking about male and female, or is this something else?
Of mail. In the same way the Army might put out a contract for a new tank, the mail people put out a contract request under the Long Life Vehicle or LLV project, with the goal of having a truck that would last at least 24 years. Why they didn't round it up a year to make it an even quarter century, I don't know, but I'm sure they had their reasons. After teaming up with General Motors by using the chassis from the Chevy S10, they produced the Grumman LLV, a 2700 four-wheel aluminum box with a payload capacity of 1,000 pounds.
It's funny because I read how they replaced that, and it looks very interesting.
No air conditioning, and the driver sitting on the right side for the purpose of reaching mailboxes without leaving the vehicle. The actual body of the truck was built using aircraft design philosophies with emphasis on making it as light as possible while maintaining ruggedness and high performance, all things that are critical for producing naval aircraft. Funny enough, the post office, like the military, distinguishes units based
I'm reacting to a video, Nina.
on the kind of vehicle capabilities that they have. With walking delivery intended for more complex terrain and shorter distances, and mounted delivery, as they call it, for longer distances and bigger footprints. Over 140,000 of these were built and became one of the most iconic vehicles on the road for over 40 years. Unrelated to what we're talking about, but while doing research for this video, I found the official post office YouTube video on how to mail your cremated remains. So if Grandpa needs to get from point A to point B and his legs are now ash, here you go. So why would a company better known for their work in fighter jets take on a project like this? Well, in short, at the time, Grumman was not doing so hot. Budget cuts were starting to hit the DoD in the mid-80s, and the FA-18 Hornet was on track to replace the F-14. The LLV seemed like
I think we still have the Hornet in the Canadian Air Force. I'm not sure though. At least from what I saw. Or maybe it's an F-18. Probably F-18s now.
a way to diversify the company, and while it did go on to earn them a couple $2 billion, it wasn't enough, and Grumman had to merge with Northrop back in 1994. It is funny though how non-military parts of the federal government do take cues from the Department of Defense. Because just how we have the next generation squad weapon, the next generation air dominance program, and the next generation air refueling system, the post
The fuck is that? Is that even in? Is that even? Is that that's just a concept, right?
office started the next generation
Oh yeah, that's the one I was talking about. That little thing.
Delivery Vehicle Program, or NGDV. Just like their predecessor, the NGDV is also being built by a major defense contractor, Oshkosh Defense. Now this does make more sense because Oshkosh is better known for making things like these instead of things like these. Before I talk about why the post office went with a government contractor instead of just a normal private sector company like General Motors, let's take a little look at the specs of this bad boy. Unlike the LLV, the NGDV will have different kinds of specific vehicle models based on geography and terrain, with 4 variants in total. Electric versions for more urban settings, and gasoline-powered ones in areas lacking EV infrastructure or more volatile weather. And either a 2 or all-wheel drive depending on the kinds of roads they're expected to operate. Unlike the LLV, these were required to only max out at 20 years of life before needing to be replaced, but don't be surprised if they end up going longer than that. These are significantly heavier, with the lightest version weighing a full 3,000 more.
I heard they also have air conditioning finally.
Pounds than the old LLVs, and the heaviest weighing a whopping 4,000 pounds more. But they're able to carry an additional 500 pounds of mail compared to the old ones. And unlike the days of old, future uniformed mail delivery service members will be allowed to enjoy air conditioning. But why go with a defense contractor instead of any other company? Well, one reason is that the federal government has a vested interest in keeping the companies that produce tanks, planes, and other military vehicles up and running at full capacity. When a normal car company goes out of business, really the only thing that happens is you have one less place that you get to choose to pick a car from. But when a defense contractor goes out of business, the military risks losing an entire capability.
That is
true.
The
F-15EX program, for example, is wildly over budget and wildly underproducing. But the Air Force really doesn't have a choice in keeping it alive, because if it doesn't, and Boeing has to shut down its fighter aircraft division, now it's going to be a lot harder to keep current ones flying, research and develop new ones, and increasing production in wartime would be severely damaged if those factories had to shut down. Allowing the military-industrial complex to diversify in the non-military or dual-use markets means that these companies get steady streams of income, rather than being forced to make massive financial risks and spending billions in R&D programs that might end up getting shut down and killing the company. In short, war production, volatile. Post office, not volatile. But I haven't decided if these are butt ugly in a cool way or butt ugly in a butt ugly way. But probably the most common way that we see these defense contractors and civilian use things mixing together is in little bits of technology that we all seem to use. Caterpillar, for example, best known for their black and yellow construction equipment, and also make engines found in both ground and maritime vehicles, and make entire vehicles for engineer units. 3M, which makes a ton of consumer goods like adhesive and medical products, makes seaburn gear and military radars. Honeywell,
wait, radars? What? That's a complete 180.
Adhesive and medical products make
medical products turns. What? How does a medical product company create radars?
Seaburn gear and military radars. Honeywell, which makes the thermostat in your apartment that no matter what you do will not stay at the program temperature you keep setting it at.
I think that's from experience, is it?
Also makes components that go into missile guidance systems. Google owns Boston Dynamics of robot abuse film fame, but also provides robot security dogs for reconnaissance in the military. Textron, which makes golf carts, also, for some reason, produces the V-22 Osprey currently in use by the United States Marine Corps.
It looks like those companies do completely different things out of their expertise for some reason.
Kroger helps the DoD with logistical support for moving food around. Goodyear makes specialized tires for Army trucks and elongated muskrat.
The only thing I know about Goodyear is their Zeppelins.
Muskrat provides satellite network connectivity for several of the world's militaries now. IBM has the computers in ICBM silos and the same operating system that elongated Muskrat provides satellite network connectivity for several of the world's militaries now. IBM makes the computers in ICBM silos and the same operating system that your broke friend that sends green text uses on his phone is the same one used in the ATAC system. But one of the most common military
apparently the mailing, the iconic mailing truck was made the video. Yeah, hence the video. Yeah, very much.
Network connectivity for several of the world's militaries now. IBM makes the computers in ICBM silos and the same operating system that your broke friend that sends.
At least IBM and making computers in the silos is kind of somewhat relevant. Like they were making PCs before and they're making PCs now, just in a different context.
Text uses on his phone is the same one used in the ATAC system. But one of the most common military systems
I don't know what the ATAC system is.
On the daily is the Global Positioning System,
GPS,
as we all know and love. And how it got into the hands of US civilian plebeians like us is actually pretty interesting. Back in the 60s, the United States needed a way to better improve the navigation for their military. After realizing that they were able to track the location of Soviet satellites, the idea came up that if we just reverse the process, we could use a satellite to track us. The DoD started sending out handfuls of satellites for navigation, primarily for use in big vehicles going long distances, but as more got sent up, the Air Force took over, consolidated the project, and GPS as we know it was in full swing in the 80s, but at the time it was only available for the military. That was until 1983 when a South Korean civilian airliner accidentally flew into Soviet space and got shot down. A proud tradition of the Russian military these days. But this prompted the United States to open it up for civilian use, but with one catch. Any civilian-grade GPS receivers had their accuracy intentionally reduced. GPS used by the military.
I heard about that.
Military had an accuracy of within 1 meter, while civilian ones were only legally allowed to be accurate up to 100 meters. That's fine and dandy if you're flying over the country or sailing a giant cargo ship across the ocean, but good luck trying to find that Tinder girl's apartment at 2 a.m. with that level of accuracy. Pretty sure she still lives with her ex anyway. It's for the best, bro. Anyway, eventually other federal agencies started creating local systems that would give receivers better accuracy. Add in the fact that the US figured out how to jam GPS signals, they decided to just let everyone have it free of charge back in 2000.
Good.
Well, sort of free because Texas, but at least I can find your mom's house now without needing to use a map. But before I go, thank you again to Raid
Yes,
Shadow.
yes, okay, Raid Shadow Legends. Anyway, yeah, very interesting. I like it. So yeah. So if you're on YouTube, thank you for coming, and I'll see you next time. And if you are on stream, we shall go forward to the next video. Bye-bye.